So this is a video just to compare the two Knosti anti-disco-stat record cleaners, and I wanted to point out a couple of issues. I don't know if it's me or if I'm the only one, but the clamp on the Generation 1 seems to be lopsided, and as you can see when I spin it, it's not very straight, and as you can hear, it's grating against the side, and this is the situation as it occurs. It scrapes, and all of this plastic scrapes off, and it even scrapes off on the inside. So all of that plastic floats into the tank where the water is, and then gets caught up in the brush cycle. And when you move over to the Generation 2, the clamp is pretty much straighter than the Generation 1, and I can spin that and it's not scraping up against the side. There's a tiny bit of scrape, but not enough for it to scrape the plastic. Now, I haven't used the Generation 2 clamp just yet. It seems to already have some scratches on it, but I don't think that's from actually using it. I bought this as a separate. I didn't buy the Generation 2 as a whole pack. I bought the clamp and the tank separate. So this is the other thing that I wanted to point out, that for anyone who has a Generation 1 and is considering the Generation 2, you don't need to buy the whole kit together. You can just buy a separate Generation 2 clamp with the crank, and that will fit in the Generation 1 tank. And as we can see, compared to the previous one, there is no scraping using the Generation 2 clamp. So I don't know if the Generation 1 clamp that I had was just a faulty one, and maybe the design wasn't so great, or I don't know, maybe in the factory they mixed up the pieces or something, but this is something I've never heard about on the forums, and I've never heard anyone talk about this, so I'm just wondering if this has happened to anyone else. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to using the Generation 2. I like this clamp. I really don't know why the crank wasn't attached to the first generation. This is a very good idea. But as I was saying before, you don't need to buy the whole brand new Generation 2 kit. You can just buy a separate clamp, because they're sold separately by Knosti, and you can use that in the Generation 1 tank. And if you want, you can just hold your finger over the clamp while you're spinning it, because the Generation 1 tank doesn't have these slots to connect like flaps that hold the clamp in place, but they're not really necessary. Okay, anyway, that's my something that I wanted to point out to any Knosti owners or anyone who might have had experience with a similar Knosti. But anyway, I hope the information about the clamp, the Generation 2 clamp that fits into the Generation 1 tank, I hope that's helpful for some, because it might save them a lot of money when they're thinking about upgrading. Oh, and also that the tank is also the same, so I can use the rack that fits in the Generation 1 tank that also fits in the Generation 2 tank. So if you want to buy the tank separately, if you would like to buy the tank separately, then you can fit the rack in that as well, so you don't have to buy the rack as well. Okay, thank you for watching.